there, I'm Lily Birdsong and this is Queer Stories, where we talk about everything from novels to television, video games, and sometimes even current events. So today I want to talk to you guys about fan fiction. I have been reading and writing fan fiction for over 20 years, and I wanted to make a video to talk to you guys about what it's worth. Before we dive into the worth of fan fiction, I just want to go a little bit into the history. Most people probably think that fan fiction is a modern phenomenon and that it came along with the internet, but the reality is fan fiction has existed as long as stories have existed. To give you a few examples, back in the days of Don Quixote, fans actually wrote their own stories with the characters from Don Quixote, published them, and made money off of them. And that was because they didn't, in that time, have the same kind of copyright laws that we have today. Some people will even say that the Bible is a fanfic because you have 4 different people, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, who are all writing the same story of the same character, Jesus Christ. And none of them lived during the time to observe these events as they were happening. You might be wondering, when did copyright laws actually start to exist? And the modern idea of copyright as it is today really started to take effect in the 18th century. When we look at fan fiction over the past 100 years, there was a huge surge in fanfics that started happening in the 1950s. And there was a genre that was called slash fics that started coming out, which was basically homoerotic stories written, and at that time the most popular story that they did it with was Star Trek. So Star Trek came along and everybody really wanted Kirk and Spock to get it on. When it comes to the author's point of view, the original author of the original work, some of those authors like fan fiction being written about their works, and some authors really don't like it. In terms of authors that don't like fanfics being written about their work, as examples we have Anne Rice and Mercedes Lackey, both of whom I absolutely adore their work. And in terms of authors that don't mind having fanfics written about their work, we have as examples Douglas Adams, who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He actually said that he really enjoys reading fanfics about his work because he sees his fans exploring that parallel universe in ways that he hadn't anticipated, and so it allows him to think about his world more. And he also thinks that fanfics being written about your work helps your work to generate a larger following and to generate more sales. We also have J.K. Rowling, who wrote the Harry Potter series, who encourages fanfics to be written about her universe, although she is a little bit squidgy about anything pornographic, so she really doesn't like that kind of fiction. But it's being written anyway. So what you might not know is that some original novels that have been published and made into very successful IPs of their own started out as fanfics. And one example of this is 50 Shades of Grey. In the beginning, 50 Shades of Grey was actually a fanfic written in the Twilight universe. And the story was called Master of the Universe. So in that story, the character that later became Anastasia was Bella, and the character that became Christian Grey was Edward. With the explosion of the internet, we saw a real accessibility when it came to exchanging stories, because people could write whatever they want and put it up on the internet for free and anyone could read it. In the very beginning of when I started reading and writing fanfics, which was in the late 90s, we would just put fanfics on our own website. So you'd have GeoCities website that you'd make for free and you could throw a fanfic up there. Later on, of course, we started using platforms to share fanfics on. So one of the first platforms that people used was LiveJournal, and we would actually create, sometimes we would create fanfics that were made amongst multiple different people. So I once participated in a vampire fanfic where there were like 10 different people that were all playing different characters. It was actually really cool that we could sort of write this story together. Then, of course, we saw fanfiction.net, which was one of the first websites that was actually dedicated to nothing but fanfiction. Over the course of the past years, we've seen social media websites such as Twitter and Tumblr also became places where people would share their fanfics. So on Tumblr, people would write Tumblr fics directly into Tumblr platform, and on Twitter, you would have fics that would be written as a series of tweets. Nowadays, the most popular platforms for publishing fanfiction are Archive of Our Own, which is AO3, and Wattpad. So why would somebody go to all of the effort to create a fanfic? It can be very fast. It can be something that you just do in an afternoon and you just play around, what we would call a drabble fic, maybe 500 words. Or it can be something that's very involved, multi-chapter, basically a book in and of its own right. Obviously, you can't make money by doing a fanfic, because if you were to make money, you would be crossing the line of the copyright. The person who owns those characters is the one who can make money from those characters, and nobody who doesn't own those characters can make the money. From the point of view of the author, I think the most exciting thing is being able to share your work with the community. And I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But I also wanted to do an exercise to just figure out how much work have I actually put into writing fanfics this year. And the reason I decided to do this is that one of my fanfics is this close to popping 1 million words. So I thought, let me analyze this thing and see just how much of my time I've wasted on it. I don't think it's a waste, by the way, because I really enjoy writing it and I enjoy interacting with people, but let's figure it out. So I calculated that depending on the type of fic I'm writing, I can write anywhere between 500 words an hour or 1,000 words an hour. When it comes to a fic that requires a lot of research, so it's based on some real life scenario where I have to go back and watch things and I have to make sure that it matches reality, that I can write about 500 words an hour. And then when it comes to something where I'm just word vomiting my universe onto the page, I can write about 1,000 words an hour with that, because I don't have to stop and start. I can just, boom, it comes out. So this fic that just reached 1 million words is the type of fic that requires a lot of research. So we can estimate that it would take me anywhere, I could write between 500 or 800 words an hour. And I wrote this fic in 8 months, believe it or not. So let's say that you take 1 million words and you divide that by 500 words an hour. That would mean that I have spent 2,000 hours writing this fic over the course of 8 months. If I were to actually make my own rate that I made at my previous job, which was above $60 an hour, but let's round down to $60 an hour. If I were to make $60 an hour writing times 2,000 hours, that would actually come out to be $120,000. For the sake of argument, if we look on the lower side of the spectrum, where I live, minimum wage is $12.50 an hour. So if I were to work 2,000 hours at $12.50 an hour, then that would equate to $25,000. So what is my time worth to me? If I were to tell you, I would love to be making extra money for the type of work that I'm doing here. But obviously, we're not doing it for money. The main reason why I wanted to talk about money for a second, though, was to give you an idea of scope in terms of the amount of time that I have put into this that I could have spent working on something else that I could potentially generate money off of. So you probably think I'm absolutely crazy. Why would an author spend so much time working on something they can't make any money off of when they could spend their time instead writing their own fictional characters and their own stories? Which, by the way, I also do. So I self-publish novels on Amazon, and I have gay romance stories on there. I have science fiction stories on there. So I do write and publish my own stories. But the reason that I really enjoy writing fan fiction is that you get to explore with characters you're already familiar with and that your community is already familiar with, because you can take characters that you guys know very well from the other type of official works that you've consumed, and then you can toss them into different environments. So you can be like, okay, what would happen to them if they were thrown into a dystopian zombie world, which is one of my fanfics that I'm writing right now. Or what happened to these real life people behind the scenes of what we see on camera? What happened to them when we weren't looking? And by being able to take characters that you're familiar with and throw them into different universes, I think it allows the readers and the community to explore things more quickly, because we don't have to worry about whether we're going to like those characters. The only thing that we are concerned with is, are we accurately portraying these characters as they would react if they were thrown into this scenario? There are common fan fiction tropes that people write about all the time. So one of those is the coffee shop alternate universe fic. So, one of them works in a coffee shop and the other one meets them and they fall in love, that kind of thing. There's all kinds of different tropes that you could use. So the other fun thing about fanfic is if you're not quite sure what to write and you just want to practice writing, or you want to explore these characters, you could literally go through, there are prompts online, right? Prompts are a way to get you started. So it can say, well, I would like to read a fic about the Omegaverse with these two characters in it. And so then you could write a fic that fulfills that prompt. So it really is a Kickstarter way for you to practice writing and to really enjoy exploring those characters further. But more than anything else, I have to say, the thing that I like the most about writing fan fiction is the direct feedback and interaction that I'm getting with the community right away. So when I post a chapter online, I'm getting comments on that chapter right away. I'm getting kudos and people giving it thumbs up. And that is like a serotonin boost for your brain. Even if you get a comment that is nothing but a keyboard smash of someone going, oh my God, like it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like, oh, I did something today and I posted something today and what I did really made somebody else feel good. One of my favorite moments over the past few months has been reading the type of comment, and there have been several. Gonna get emotional just thinking about it. Reading the type of comment where people are telling me that what I'm writing is helping them to get through quarantine because they are able to escape the situation that we're in right now and live in another world for a few hours. So if we can't show appreciation by paying people for writing fan fiction, how can you show your appreciation? I think there's so many different ways. Obviously, the ways that are built into the system are kudos and comments. So if you like something, I really highly recommend that you leave a comment. I'm a writer, so I'm writing more than I'm reading, but I'm trying to get better about this as a reader as well, that I will leave a short comment on things that I read, even if my comment is only emojis. I will leave emoji comments on things because I know that as an author, when I receive a comment on my work, it really helps to keep me motivated. And I don't respond to comments very often as an author. So don't think that just because the author isn't responding to your comment that it isn't important and meaningful. Comments are extremely meaningful and they show engagement and they show love. Comments equals love, guys. Leave comments. Other ways that you can show appreciation for fanfic authors is to follow them on platforms that they tell you that they're on. So for example, I'm on Twitter, I'm also on Tumblr, so if I'm on these other platforms, people who follow me there can see more about the full breadth of what I'm working on and not just the fanfics. So I can share with people on Twitter that I'm also original author, that I publish my own works, that I'm making this YouTube channel. And this is a way that people can find out other ways that they can contribute to me and my livelihood if they enjoy also what I'm doing in the land of fan fiction. I also love receiving fan art, by the way. Anyone who's an artist and you're reading fanfics, do more fan art, even if it's just a scribble. I love that stuff. I even make my own fan art because I think I don't get enough fan art and I don't know why nobody wants to draw about my story. So I definitely really love fan art. So in summary, what is the value of fan fiction? Obviously, there is a value in terms of the amount of time and effort that the author puts in, the amount of time that the reader takes to read it, and the joy that we exchange when we get to share these stories as a community. But as to its true value and its true worth, I leave that up to you. So you tell me in the comments, what do you think about fan fiction? If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content like this, then go ahead and subscribe. Also, if you want to support me in continuing to create content like this, you can sign up to be a subscriber on Patreon. Thank you very much, everyone. Hope you have an awesome day. I have been reading and writing fan fiction for 20 years now. Over 20 years. Now I'm making myself look old. I am old. So I really wanted to talk about this because I think it is such a valuable part of people's existence, especially within COVID times. Oh, hi. You okay? You always get a cameo from one of my cats. This is Gautier cat. Say hi, Gautier. I can't do a video without having a, why do you look so dirty? You look like you just bathed in a, I don't know, something. Did you stick your paws in some water? Why did you do that? Hey, look at all your hair's coming out. I need to brush you. Okay? All right?